This is an uncut video. I have not been this scared in my life ever. I had dizziness. I had a blackout. I had a heart attack. Had a condition where she was losing blood. She was severely bleeding and she needed medical attention. And if you have your money, you receive the attention that you need. On the 22nd of December last year, and as you guys know, if you are calling emergency service or out of hours service in the UK, nothing was done for me. Nothing was done for me in the hospital. The receptionist that was attending to the people was literally screaming at me. The NHS should have competitors that may be charging. One thing I respect about the American healthcare system is that people are complaining that it's expensive, but I believe that if people were charged to do health insurance, just like the way it's happening in America, do health insurance, yeah. And if you do not use the health insurance at the end of the year, you take it as a tax refund. Voila! Guess who is back? Guess who is back? Guess who is back? Happy New Year, besties. How are you all doing? I am back, guys. I've been away for this new year 2024. I haven't shown up. Apologies, guys. Thank you so much for everybody who's been checking up on me, wishing me a happy new year. I also wish you same a very happy new year. May this new year bring good tidings, peace, joy, happiness, more money. You know, guys, when I was younger, I used to make new year resolutions, like write things that I want to do for the new year. But growing up, I realized that I am growing up, okay? And I realized that those things put me in a lot of, let's say, anxiety and a sense of unaccomplishment because I am a high achiever. So when I do not achieve just one thing out of that list, I feel like I haven't achieved or I haven't accomplished. So I felt like, you know what, moving forward, I have let go and let God. So now I don't do resolutions anymore. I just tell God, take the wheel. I'm happy to be a passenger. I'm not going to watch you do your own thing and take me through the journey. So this year, no resolutions, no drama, no nothing. It's just pure letting God, take the wheel. And that is what I've basically been doing. But yes, I haven't been well, and that is the reason why I haven't shown up here. Not because I don't want to do videos, but because I just didn't have the energy. If for energy was gone. But if you've been following me on my other social medias, like my TikTok, especially, my TikTok has grown exponentially. And I want to thank each and every one of you who has followed me from YouTube to TikTok. Because when I go on live there, people are like, oh, we followed you from 2020, 2021 on your YouTube. I am so appreciative to you guys. Without you, I am not. And my TikTok grew in the past 7 months. I've gained over 80,000 followers. And it's because of the love you guys have poured on me from my YouTube here onto my TikTok. I am really so appreciative. Right, guys, let's go into the tea. So today I'm going to be talking about the NHS healthcare system. And I'm going to be making some recommendations. I'm going to be talking about uncut. This is an uncut video. Minke bin shim, as in my language will say it, minke bin shim. And it's just some recommendations and some personal things that I am going to be doing to myself and my family moving forward with regards to our health, because something happened to me just close to the end of last year and I was so petrified. I have not been this scared in my life ever because I've always been a healthy person and I don't really do hospital visit. Since I came to the UK personally, I have only used the NHS service twice, which was only in emergency services because I needed it. The first one happened when I was at work. So I was in uniform, I was working. I had this severe headache, migraine, and I almost had a blackout, and my colleagues had to take me to the A&E. I think I've shared this here. That is an also, I'm not going to be going into that. And that particular, should I say, hospital visit or emergency visit was a failed one. In the long run, I was sent home to take paracetamol and rest, which obviously I did. I took paracetamol, I rested, I prayed, trusted God, I recovered, bounced back. Since then, I haven't used the emergency service up until 2021 late. When I was preparing to go to work, something happened to me. So I had this sudden dizziness, I had a blackout, started vomiting, retching. I called straight to 111. They wanted me to go to A&E. At that time, I was living in South London, and I told them I would rather prefer to have a doctor see me on the phone, which they did. So the doctor, spoke to me urgently, released a prescription to be sent to my nearest pharmacy, and it was picked up for me. I took the medication in 24 to 48 hours. I was fine and I got back to my feet. After 2021, 2022, I don't know what has gone wrong with the NHS system because, as I said, I don't use the system. I work for the system, but I don't use it personally. Do you get? I work for the NHS, but I don't use the NHS. I don't really know what has gone wrong after my second use of the emergency service, but this is what I gathered from people that were around me. So, a friend of mine had a heart attack. I was home one day when he called me and said, I'm in the hospital. And I asked, what is the reason? What was the reason for your admission? He said, I had a heart attack. And he is somebody who has had conditions for the past 10 years. So obviously he knows his symptoms. And he said, to his disbelief, when he got to the hospital, this happened in 2022. Okay, when he got to the hospital, he wasn't really attended to until he started to exaggerate his symptoms. Because some of the heart attacks are silent and you wouldn't know somebody is actually suffering it. So he had to exaggerate his symptoms, and that was how he got the attention. At first, I was very cross with him. Anyways, eventually, he got the attention he needed. He had to go in for a heart surgery to fix whatever the problem was. He's very young. This is a gentleman that's like 40 something years. Okay, he got the attention he needed, and then he recovered and was discharged. After a while, I saw a video that was circulating on social media about a lady that got to A&E and she started to scream. She had a baby that wanted medical attention, and instead of going through the queue or the queuing process, she started to I won't say exaggerate, but she started to scream, make loud noise with the baby as if she's going to fall down with the baby. And that was how people rushed to her to help her, escalate it for her to get the attention. What am I trying to drive at? The UK emergency system is under constant pressure. And I'm saying this because I have worked in UK A&E for a while. It's just that I stopped because of the stress that I was going through after I had that condition. I said the doctor, saw me over the phone. At that time, I was working in A&E as an agency staff, but I had to step down. I had to stop because my health was my priority. So I know what it feels like to work in the emergency, service, and I know what it feels like to be a patient in emergency. The UK NHS is oversaturated with cases. And I feel like a lot of people are throwing hands or shade to immigrants, coming into the UK, being the cause of all this back and forth. What I want to say, or what people do not know, is that the immigrants that are coming in from overseas, apart from the healthcare workers like myself, every other person pays what we call the immigration health surcharge, which has recently been increased by the UK government to £1,000 something per annum, which every immigrant is paying. Fast forward, a friend of mine who is also a NHS nurse, she's a sister in one of the biggest NHS trusts in London, had a condition where she was losing blood, she was severely bleeding, and she needed medical attention. When she got to the hospital after assessment and all that, they put her on a waiting list for over 12 months. So if she was going to be seen by the doctor to be operated on because she needed to go undergo surgery, she needed to be on the waiting list for 1 year. And while she was waiting, they gave her medications to be taken to stop that problem, but that problem wasn't resolving. And I was reflecting and looking back and asking myself that if this was our country, she's a Ghanaian as well, if this was our country, would she be waiting for this long? One thing I realized, being somebody who has worked in Ghana for 8 years before moving to the UK as a nurse, is that the way our system is designed, if you have your money, you receive the attention that you need. But over here is a reverse. Whether you have your money or not, it is the NHS that will see you in emergency cases, and there is no competition in the NHS. So whether the NHS is under pressure or not, there is no cutting corners. On the 22nd of December last year, just as the year was fast approaching, coming to an end, something very strange happened to me, and that is what got me petrified and has made me take these steps or decisions moving forward about my health as an immigrant living in the UK. So I woke up, I went to work on the 21st of December, came back home, decided to have some rest, and I was going back to shift 22nd night. Okay, I work my shift, as you guys know. I went to sleep, that was the 22nd. When I woke up around 5 ish to 6, getting ready for my shift that night, straight from sleep, I had a blackout. Everything just went black. And this is me being very healthy before going to bed. No symptoms, no nothing at all. I was very 100% healthy. Went to sleep, woke up, and had this blackout. Everything went black. I was losing my balance. I was about to fall on the floor, but I was not far from my bed. So I gradually lowered myself onto my bed. So after I laid on my bed, I wanted to call for help, but there was nobody around. Everybody was downstairs. So I reached out to my phone, and then I called the camera downstairs, and my kids ran up to me, and I told them, "This is it. I feel very faint. I almost lost my balance. I feel like I was dehydrated or something. So get me some water to drink." So they got me water. I drank. It didn't work. I just started to vomit. Like, I don't know what was happening. I just started to vomit everything in me. I felt like my intestines were coming out. I was retching. I was vomiting. I didn't know what to do. And I was supposed to go to work that night. So the first thing I did was to call my workplace to say I wasn't coming to work because I was forcing myself to see if I could, but it didn't look like I would be able to. So I was calling them, but nobody picked the phone. I was like, listen, at this point, is my health and me and my God. So I reached out to the phone. I called 111. And as you all guys know, if you are calling emergency service or out of hours service in the UK, anyways, I stayed on the phone. I was asked series of questions. I answered everything, and they were trying to get me appointment into the nearest A&E because I needed to be seen by the doctor. According to the doctor that assessed me over the phone, I needed to go in to be seen by a doctor. So unfortunately, he didn't get me appointment at my nearest A&E, where I even work as an agency in that A&E. I couldn't get appointment there. The nearest A&E I got appointment was 40 minutes drive from where I live. So it means I needed to get help. I managed to get the assistance I needed. I was driven to that hospital where I had appointment, and this was 30 minutes past 10 p.m. when I got the appointment. And from 5 o'clock, I had been sick. I was just vomiting everything. I looked so pale. I was so petrified. I felt like something was going to happen to me. I was looking at my kids with fear in their eyes and having to be taken to the hospital. I couldn't take my kids with me. I left them behind. Went to the hospital. Lo and behold, nothing was done for me. Nothing was done for me in the hospital. The doctor asked me why I have come there, like where I live. I told him, it was like, why didn't I go to the nearest A&E? I was like, this is where I was booked to come to. Do you get? It's not like I booked myself. I was booked to come here because that place is full, according to what they said. He said, what is wrong with you? I told him everything, and then he says, are you pregnant? I said, no. He said, but you should have done the pregnancy test before coming here. Didn't the doctor tell you over the phone? I said, no, the doctor didn't tell me over the phone to do a pregnancy test, but I am not pregnant, okay? I'm not saying this because I want to justify anything. I'm a nurse, I'm a mother of 3, and I know when I'm pregnant and when I'm not. So I'm not pregnant. Then he goes to take my observations and everything. He said, well, I think it's viral. You need rest. Go home, take some paracetamol and rest. This is somebody who is vomiting everything in me. Even when I swallow my own saliva, I vomit. And he tells me to go home, take some paracetamol and rest. It was that day I confirmed that something is not right. Because if it's back in my country, you will not be left to go home without doing nothing for you. I am vomiting. Everything that goes into me comes out, including my own saliva that I'm swallowing. I'm vomiting it out. I can't stand. I am having blackout. Everything is black. I am dizzy. Everything is spinning around me. And they're telling me to go home and take paracetamol and rest. I started to pray because at that time I was like, it's only God I have now. There is no other emergency service anywhere. I was petrified. I was so scared. I said, God, please preserve my life. I prayed that night as we were driving back home. I prayed. I got home. I couldn't take anything down because I was scared to vomit again. So I just went straight to bed, prayed in my sleep. I was praying. The next morning, I was feeling a bit better. I called work to tell them, listen, cancel all my shifts, like cancel every shift for that week and the week after. And that was done. I stayed at home, gradually took some supplements, and recovered. The next day I was like, okay, let me follow up with my GP to see what the problem is, because I think this thing needs to have like a root cause analysis. So I rang my GP and I told them this is what happened to me the day before, and I have been brought home the day after without nothing being done for me. But I would appreciate if I can get some examinations or investigations done to see what exactly was wrong with me. And they said, well, we can't get you an appointment because right now we are fully booked up onto the 5th of January. And this was 23rd December. So 5th of January. So from that 23rd December to 5th of January, what was going to happen? I don't know. I decided to, okay, just take the chill pill, take some supplements, eat healthy, rest, and rest. Because they said the only cases that they were taking or they were giving priority to were children and elderly people above 65 or 60 years, which I don't obviously fall within this age bracket. Then my daughter, my little one, went to school when school reopened, and I was going to pick her up from school, and then the school tells me she's been complaining of this abdominal pain, which she has been complaining for like a month. We went to the GP. They took some urine tests from her. Nothing really was done. Told us to observe, and that when the urine test comes back, we're going to tell us what it was. I called 111 straight away because the school called me. Were asking, what have you done for the child since she complained? It looked like I didn't do anything. Meanwhile, I did. So I called 111 to report. I said, this is it. I need something to be done for this child because it's abdominal pain and it's so severe that it's beginning to disturb activities of daily living, and we need to know what it is. So the lady that picked up the phone said, okay, I'm booking you in with the nearest urgent care, and just walk in, and if they don't look after you, call us back. I was like, okay. So I drove the girl. We went to the nearest urgent care that I was booked in, and when I got there, the receptionist that was attending to the people was literally screaming at me, asking me why I have come to the 111 service the urgent care service, when 111 knows that they have been fully booked since afternoon. I was like, how would I know? I don't work in 111. I am just a service user, and I have called to be seen, for my daughter to be seen. So I don't know how this is my fault. I didn't just walk in. I was booked. I was referred here. It was like, okay, you have a seat. The nurse will assess you. If you need to be seen by the doctor, be seen. If not, you'd have to go. I said, okay. So I sat down, and then like 30 minutes after, a lady came after me. She was white, and he spoke to the lady so nicely and gave the lady a seat. Anyways, I was like, okay, this is one of those things. I sat down quietly, and opposite me there was another black lady with a child. This baby will not be up to 1 year. The baby will be like 6 months to 9 months. And she was saying over the phone to somebody who she was speaking to. It wasn't like I was eardropping, but she just said, oh, when I came, they didn't do anything for the child, and I've been told to take the child back home and observe the child. The baby. So we are on our way going home, and she was teary. So as she was teary, I was looking at her. I was also teary. So my daughter asked me, Mommy, what is the matter? Are you crying? I said, no. At that time, I was just reflecting and asking myself, what has gone wrong with the NHS? What is happening? And one thing about the UK is that there is no competition. Apart from the NHS, there is no other place for medical emergencies. Do you get? If you have a medical emergency, it's either the NHS or none. What I feel should happen is that the NHS should have competitors that may be charging. If there are private companies that are also offering urgent care or emergency treatment that are taking money to give that care, some people have options. Some people can pay. It's not everybody that wants to go through the stress of by force going to be seen by the NHS. Some people will be happy to pay. I don't know if there is something like that, and I am the one that doesn't know about it. But since I moved here to the UK, I have not seen anything like such. If you have an emergency, it's either you call 999 or 111, and that is the NHS that is going to see you. It's not the private. If it's something like surgery, then you can have it in the private hospital. But if it's like an emergency, there is no other service apart from the NHS, which I feel like It's not doing us any good because some people can afford to have that private service in an emergency. So why are people not? Is it that people are not allowed to run those, private services, or what is the problem? I don't get it. Number two, after this decision, the way fear caught me that day, I felt like the worst was going to happen to me. I've personally taken a decision that from next year, effective next year, that is, if I am still in the UK, I'm going to be visiting home every other year to have medical, checkup, just to check me up, to see what is happening, to do like an assessment, check my bloods, my everything. But in the meantime, try not to fall sick. I can go on and on and on with stories that have happened, that people have gone to the hospitals and are not being looked after. Nothing, absolutely nothing has been done for them. As I sit here, it's pure grace that made me recover, eating healthy, taking breaks, looking after myself, taking my supplement, that has made me recover. It's not everybody that can have this opportunity. With what I went through, that would have survived it, but I did survive it. So what I would advise you is that try not to fall sick. Look after yourself. Be conscious, be intentional about your health, yourself. Take your supplements. There is no adequate sunshine here, and so your blood cells, your white blood cells, your red blood cells, all the blood cells in you are undergoing some kind of whatever. Take your supplement, eat well, have enough rest, and be intentional about yourself, because don't wait for an emergency to happen to you. I don't mean, but as a recommendation, I feel like decision making bodies or authorities should look into giving opportunities to private owned businesses to run an emergency service, that in case of any emergency, people can actually go into and access that service. As if that was not enough, to break the camel's back, a friend of mine was very, very sick. After all the shenanigans happened to me, I couldn't get appointment. I accepted mine in good faith. About my daughter's situation, the doctor eventually saw her and said, no, she needs to be checked up on. She needs to be, followed up on. They need to establish why she's having all of these symptoms. But in the meantime, they're going to give her some antibiotics, which they did. And then we need to go back to her GP to get her an appointment for them to do a thorough investigation to see what is actually happening to this little child. So that we are on now. I don't know what that is going to lead to, but we are on that now. So a friend of mine was also very, very, very sick about a week before I filmed. No. It's not up to a week. It's 4 days before I'm filming this video. Very, very terribly sick, and needed to be seen by the doctor, which was also on a weekend. So he called 111 as usual. They did an assessment and said, we are going to send you antibiotics to the nearest pharmacy. This friend went to the nearest pharmacy where they were supposed to send these antibiotics, and the medication wasn't there. So he called back to the 111 and said, this is the problem. I'm in the pharmacy now and the prescription is not here. What do I do? And the pharmacist said, well, I don't know the doctor that spoke to you, but we need to do another assessment again. This is somebody that is even struggling to talk, that is struggling to catch his breath, that has managed to go through assessment over the phone, needs to go through another assessment. Kilo day. Anyways, he didn't go through the assessment. He took the chill pill, sorted himself some way, somehow. We blacks, we have our own little concoctions here and there. He had his own stuff in the house, and he had somebody come back recently from back home, so has brought him some stuff. He added one or two together, and then he got back. One thing I respect about the American healthcare system is that people are complaining that it's expensive, but I believe that if people were charged to do health insurance, just like the way it's happening in America, do health insurance, yeah. And if you do not use the health insurance at the end of the year, you take it as a tax refund. If you happen to use the service, then it goes, in your account and you pay it. If everybody is paying for their health and it's no longer free, it will take the burden off the system. This is just my thoughts. Okay, this is just my thoughts. Don't come after me. If you also have any opinion, you can put it in the comment section. But if it is not free, people will not just get up and go to the hospital. Then we'll see the real people who are abusing the system. Do you get? Because we are charged high amount of NI, which goes into the contribution towards being looked after in case you fall sick. but then the people that are actually paying for the NI and the taxes are not using the service. And that one off time that you fall sick, that you go into the service to have or to use it, you are not being looked after. And the people that are not contributing rather are the people that are enjoying it. So the American system is going to help everybody. Just let us pay health insurance. If you do not use it at the end of the year, it's refunded to you as a tax refund. And if you use it and it goes into your account for you to pay for it. Anyway, these are just my opinions. But as I said, yes, I'll be going to Ghana every other year to have myself checked and, to have that medical attention that I feel like I need. But in case of an emergency, what happens? What is the fate of we and our families in the UK in case of emergencies? People should look into, the system should allow people to go into running emergency services apart from the NHS just to save our lives. Okay, this is just what I've got to say. I don't know if you've got any contributions or anything, just put them in the comment section respectfully. And one thing I've been doing this year is that I started last year, guys. Since December last year, I block people. And I'm so proud of myself. If you come on my page, any of my social media platforms, to throw hate, to throw shade, to be a troll, to be a bully, to be a cyber bully, keypad warrior, I block you. I have got people that are doing that for me. Before you're going to be blocked, if you're not careful, you'll be dealt with. So respectfully make your opinion without, attacking or insulting or anything. You can respectfully make your opinion. This year, 2024, I don't go grief for anybody. I don't go grief for anybody. Anybody that comes after me, I don't go grief for you. So respectfully make your comment and wish you a compliment of the season. Enjoy yourself. Take good care of yourself if you're in the UK. And yes, I love you all with the love of God. See you all in my next video. Bye.